I loved my Saabs. I've got fond memories of both my 250,000 mile 9.5 Aero and of the 9.3 Aero that I owned a few years prior to that. The love that I have for the brand does seem to be shared by many others, especially in the case of that 9.5. So just what is it that makes the brand special, or is it a case of us all having rose tinted glasses on? As after all, this manufacturer did declare bankruptcy in 2011. Well, by unpacking my own thoughts and by talking to some owners, that's exactly what we're going to find out in this video. So just what is it that I think makes Saab special? Well, I could talk about the fact that my 9.5 had the most comfortable seats I've ever sat in and that the boot was big enough for me to live in, or the fact that my 9.3 was faster than it had any right to be. But the reason I think this brand is special is because of more than a 0 to 60 time. Now, it's hard to describe, but I think it's because you can tell that people have put some real passion into designing and building these cars, and this is evident from things such as the really overly complex cup holders, the central ignition switch, and just from the fact that mine was holding itself together quite so well after 250,000 miles. Honestly, Saabs just give the impression that they're built to be the best cars they could possibly be, that they aren't just another box-ticking exercise for a manufacturer. And they also just have a coolness about them, and you also get all of these aforementioned pluses with a bargain of a price tag. But that is enough from me for now, so what I'm going to do to start the next section of the video is show you this clip of George, who I met recently to film his 9.3. I'm going to show you what he said when I asked, why do you love Saabs? George, why do you think people love Saabs, and what is it about them that sort of drew you to the brand?
I think when it comes to Saab, there's a special kind of, almost an aura that comes with the car. They all come with this classic architect,
Stereotype.
Yeah, stereotype that's kind of in the back of your head. And it was definitely in the back of my head when I bought this, but I think there's a certain thing that you see people smile when you drive past in this, and okay, it's not an M5, it's not an M3, it's not something that's overly powerful, even though it is quite nippy. I think it's just people that know. And I think that's the beautiful thing about Saab. And even old ladies, when I drive past them in there, they've got a 9.3 estate that's a diesel 1 point whatever, and they're just trundling along 200,000 miles. They will still wave at you. They'll still wave at you in that car, and I think that's one of the beautiful things about it. And people kind of do have a lot of respect for this brand and this car. The community are also, that's another thing about it. They're really welcoming, and they really help you out with stuff. Like when I first got this, I wanted to see if you could have like Apple CarPlay put into it. I soon realised that it's all fibre optic, all your system in there, your radio, it's all ran through fibre optic. So it's a lot harder than it looks, but I wouldn't have known that without the community, and everyone's really helpful, and everyone tries and helps you out with as many queries as you've got. So yeah, that's another thing about Saab that I do really love.
And the community that George mentioned there has come out in force to help me with this video. And by that I mean that in order to answer the question, why are Saabs special, I put that exact question into 2 owners groups on Facebook and put the call out on my own social media feeds too. And the response I got has been greater than I could have ever imagined, to be honest, with those quotes you saw on screen just a moment ago being a very small example of the responses I got. So what I'm going to do with you now is I'm going to talk you through some of the more lengthy and more detailed responses. Then we're going to look at the key themes that have come from all of the answers to try and answer the question, why are Saabs special? And what better place to start than on Facebook with an owner who has owned many Saabs over a 41-year period. They also spent 12 years as a Saab tech, which I think means they worked in a Saab service centre. As you can see, they say, I can't explain it, but just always loved them, and they are so comfortable. And sticking to people who've been in the Saab world for quite a while, next up we've got somebody who has owned their 9.3 for roughly 50% of my life, and that is quite a stat. And they say that reliability, quality of engineering, comfort, looks and easy to drive are all standout features when talking about Saabs. And to go with that, I just want to throw these 2 quotes up on screen which kind of echo that list of standout features. And whilst they're on there, I do just want to quickly read out the last sentence because I love it. And that is that everything with cars is a compromise, and Saab got the balance perfect. How's that for a quote? And finally, on Facebook for the time being, there is this comment which I've had to paraphrase because it was quite long, and it basically says that their family has had Saabs for all of their life. When they were a baby, there was a beige 96 in the equation, then her family had a few 900s before getting a turbo in 1984, and they say that they can remember going to school in this turbo, but that they now own it. And that is very cool to see, and to be honest, when I was collating all of these responses, there were quite a few instances where people now own Saabs because they remember their dad either working at a dealership or because their granddad had one. I think that is a very nice thing to see. And now we're going to head over to TikTok for a short moment, and we're going to start with this comment from Dom, who owns a 9.5 estate, and this is what he had to say when I asked him why he went for a Saab. I also had a good chat with somebody called Keelan, who owns a 2008 Turbo X, and if you know your Saabs, you'll know that this is quite a special model. And the reason I wanted to share what Keelan said is just in case there's any haters watching who are getting ready to type into the comments section below. So Keelan said that despite it just being a glorified Vectra, as some would say, the work that Saab did really transforms the car. Now, I could carry on reading out comments for hours, to be honest, with the amount of them I've got, but do not worry because I am not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to throw a few more up on screen now while I talk about the key themes or common traits that kept coming up in people's comments. Now, this is the part of the video that I get the most excited about, and that's because basically if there's something that keeps coming up in the comments and people keep saying they like the same things or the same traits about a car, then I feel that I can say with confidence that those are the reasons why, in this case, people love Saabs. So without further ado, I've gone through the responses, I've tallied up what people have said, and here are the top 5 reasons why people think Saabs are special. So first of all, it's because there is just something about them. Second of all, it's because they're well built. Thirdly, it's because of the performance. Fourth, it's because of the comfort. And fifth, it's because of their unique style and features. And there are 5 very good reasons why people think Saabs are special. But I do feel like I should just add a 6th one onto that list, and that is that the community, that also got mentioned quite a few times, and as I've now got evidence of from my making of this video, it's a very forthcoming and helpful community, so I feel like it is worth adding them onto the list too. I also think it's worth mentioning a few things that lots of people said that I feel kind of fit into those main 5 or 6 reasons from earlier. So lots of people said they're lovely to drive, which I think fits into the performance sort of category, and lots of people also said they are safe, reliable and cheap to maintain, which I think slots into the well-built category, if you can see my trail of thought there. Now, I find it very interesting that the most popular response I got is basically that there is just something about them, and that's what makes Saab special. And I got this response from people all over the ownership spectrum, whether that's a late model 9.5 or an early 2-stroke Saab from back in the day. And if you've owned a Saab in the past or you've experienced one, you might know what this comment means. I'm conscious that some people watching may not have experienced the brand, and therefore it doesn't make much sense. So what does it actually mean? Well, I've already tried to unpack what I think it means, and that was earlier on in the video when I was talking about why I think Saab are special. But after going through these comments and having a little bit longer to think about it, I think I've almost put my finger on it. And the reason that I think people say there's just something about them is because basically they're just so well built and they're such a quality item, and that is the special thing about them. And the reason I say that is because if it wasn't for the fact they're so well built, all these other points and traits that people like would be a complete moot point. You know, especially now, the brand's not been with us for a fairly long time now. What good's a car that performs well, that handles well, that looks good, if it's falling apart around you? And yeah, the fact there's so many examples still going along with over 200,000 miles on the clock, I think is further testament to this trail of thought, and hopefully you can kind of see what I'm saying here. And if you're still not convinced, well, I do just have one comment that somebody left I'm going to leave you with, and they said that you don't explain it, you just experience it. Basically, if you know, you know, and if you don't, well, sorry, we're going to have to get to know. Now, I'm aware that's quite a pretentious way to end the video, but you know what, I reckon it's true, and I did just also want to read that comment out because I thought it was quite amusing, but nevertheless true. So to recap then, after my research and after talking to many owners, I think the reason that Saabs are special is because there is just something about them. It's because they're well built, it's because of the performance, it's because they're comfortable, it's because of their unique styles and features, and if you remember, I also said it's because of the community. That community I just want to say thank you to, because without them, this video would not be possible. So a big thank you to the 2 owners clubs on Facebook that I reached out to. And also a big thank you to you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you have, please remember to like, comment and subscribe. There's going to be plenty more coming along very soon.